good, y'all? It's your boy Herb.
And it's your girl Mo.
And welcome to our soon-to-be world-renowned podcast, Young, Black, and Figuring It Out, Season 3.
Trust.
What up, though?
What it do?
Whatever we tell it. Yo, we back.
Oh, my God.
3 seasons.
Yes.
I almost said 3 years, but we just talked about that.
Hasn't been.
Yo, dang.
Mm-hmm.
How you feeling?
Amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Me too. I ain't gonna lie. This is good. And when you hit season 3, I don't know this is for everybody, but us hitting season 3, it's like now this is like, yeah, you are in it. You're into the thick of it. you are in it. Like for real. The honeymoon is gone. Like to do this, it's like you really actually love doing it.
Yeah, that's a good point. The honeymoon is definitely gone. But it's a good thing.
Nah, it's like, oh, okay, no, I actually enjoy this relationship. It's not just like, all about infatuation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope.
I like the terminology you use there.
I
support.
Yeah. How you feeling?
Amazing.
Like, is it amazing?
I'm really excited. I think the fact that we've come so far and this is season 3 and it's like, oh, when we started, I feel, well, I'm going to speak for myself. I can't speak for him. But I feel like I was a completely different person.
Right.
Like the growth, the change, and how much this has helped me. It's like, I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I'm proud. I'm proud of us.
Same. And it's like being able to see the transition and be able to listen and watch that. It's like a rare account. It's like an account of us doing that. And really, I think an account of our supporters too. Like the folks who like watch us, like the questions people ask, what they expect, what they see, how they respond. Like, and so we appreciate y'all for
Very
sure.
much, yeah.
For 3 seasons. We deep in there. Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, yo, as we always do at this time, what did we figure out this week?
Oh, it's been a week. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's been an eye-opening and surprising week. And I don't know how to surmise it all, so I will say what I figured out was acceptance is real, right? Something about accepting people as they are, accepting the place they hold in your life, accepting the space you take up in your life and in other people's lives. It's so healing. I think there was a lot of years of holding things, like grudges and having resentments and just being angry that certain things or people weren't the way I needed them, or they didn't show up for me the way I truly needed. Yeah. And I got to a point, I want to say over the course of the year, but I finally realized it this week, where I accepted that people are who they are. Yeah. And it's not personal. Most of the times it's not that they're actively trying to hurt me in any way. Yeah. But I have to look at, the trajectory or how they have lived their lives. And I'm like, this is who you are. This is you. You're not a bad person by any means. I accept. You know what I mean? And I resolved that within myself. And this week I felt so much healing in certain relationships and like the way that my brain was just like responding versus reacting. And it was just, it's been wonderful.
I hear that.
Thank you.
Do you think that'll continue, like that thought process?
Yes. I discovered that the more I can state what is being done and how it affects me versus respond in like some form of bitter or angry type of manner has been boding well. And I'm like, I'm only like responding versus reacting because I've accepted. Like,
yeah, that's dope. That's dope.
It's like, I am a happy human.
That's dope.
This level of peace. It's just like, yes, I needed this. I'm looking forward to this. Who knows what will happen come season 4. Yeah.
Speaking that to existence on the first episode of season 3. That's dope. Okay, cool. Dope.
Yes. Now, what did you figure out this week?
I figured out, honestly, I think I'll tell you how I got there and then tell you what I figured out. So how I got there was I recently was listening to a audio book, because I realized that's what's good for me. The 4 Agreements, dope book. It really talks about like how we as people have made these agreements, societal agreements, right? And abide by these things and kind of are domesticated by these things and operate by these things that really were inventions of people. It's not actually what has to be reality. And they're so strong though that they like almost you self-domesticate after a while.
Yeah.
You know? And a lot of those agreements aren't just society, but you know, your environment, who you were raised by, how you were raised. And so you like your operating mechanism is based on those things, right? So I'm listening to that. It's more of a spiritual book. And as I was listening to it, I'm like, you know, every time I read a book like this, like the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success or other things like that, I kind of get into this space of, it almost can be kind of like esoteric, but let me not use that big word, but that big word.
I like define, please.
Yeah, it's like you almost are kind of like removed from reality. Like you get into this space where like nothing matters. I'm just flowing through like real spiritual, loosey goosey. It's another way to define that, right? And I'm like, man, that's not the mode I want to be in though. I'm not in that mode. Like I'm in commit, get it done, like manifest and materialize. But I also know the spiritual component of, you know, life is important, right?
Right.
So I'm like, all right, how can I do both? You know, because I get into this mode of like, you know, moments don't matter. Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. And as I started putting it together, it's like, you know what? Nah, you can do both because I got to change my thinking. It's not as I'm going through things, I need to be so like, you know, spiritually navigating whatever because moments don't matter. It's like they do matter. Like life matters. Life is serious. That's cool. But it's just a moment. Like moments do matter, but they don't define you. And that's what I learned. Moments matter, but they don't define you. You know what I mean? And so you might go out and have, you might have a bad game if you're an athlete. You might, if you're going to speak to a class, you might have a bad day as an educator. You might have a bad whatever. Like you might have a bad session, but that doesn't define you. The moment matters, right? So you still have to prepare like it matters. You still have to operate like it matters. You still are committed to it because it matters, but it doesn't define you, right? If it's not a great moment, or if it is a great moment, that doesn't reflect your intelligence. It doesn't reflect like your value, your worth. Like moments matter, but it doesn't define you. What defines you, and I was saying this before, is the collection of moments, which is the journey or the pattern. Like that's character now.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's character. That defines you. And then a decision and a commitment defines you. Like once you say, I'm going to be this person, you commit, that defines you. But not the moments in between the start point and the end goal.
Right.
Like that doesn't define you. Those moments don't.
Right. Which is like similar to how people say mistakes don't define you because, you know, you mess up sometimes, you make a mistake, that happens.
Yeah.
But when it's a habit, when it's the habitual thing that you're doing daily.
That's character.
And it's the same thing as when they say small steps equal the big change. You make those small habits on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And it's negative. It's part of your character now. It's a negative change. It can happen.
And it's not just about the negativity too. It's also about the positive things that happen because people often fall into that. Like things can go good and go great. And it's like, like, nah, bro. That's a moment in time, right? Like when you consistently are this person, this thing, then yes.
Right.
But, so a reflection or like a kind of call to action for that for me is not too high, not too low. It's like even keel, right in the middle, you know? And confidence comes from that. Like, yeah, I got this. It's cool. And even if it don't work out right now, it's going to be fine later. That's cool, you know? That's so against my nature.
Right.
Because the way I was raised, like, you know, you got to be good enough.
Right.
You had to look good enough. Like you had to perform good enough. You feel me? But now I was like, nah, I'm good enough already. It's cool.
I like that resolve.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Bad. That's a podcast. All right, y'all. Listen, y'all might be sitting there thinking, no, I'm playing. Bad. I think you want to dive into that. Like, you can't wait till we get done with this to talk more about that. But yeah,
You don't know me.
They want the behind the scenes. Okay, if they jump on, you know, we got something coming, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, please.
All right. Want to talk about this?
Please.
Talking about defining moments and, you know, characteristics. We got some heat. This first episode, we starting off with fire. Like, if you listening right now, you might want to stop, drop, and roll. You feel me?
I knew it was coming. When I tell you, I was like, this man gonna say something about feeling these flames.
You feel me? You got to stop, drop, and roll. Listen. So here's what we're going to talk about. There's a lot of things that go on that involve these conversations. And we just give you the topic to start off. You ready for this?
Dun, 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 dun. Sorry.
And the topic is, does the sin cancel the sinner?
That's a great question. I don't care what nobody say. That is an amazing question.
Does the sin cancel the sinner?
And I know everybody has an opinion to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best part. It's like, how much of that is coming from, personal experience, disconnection, disassociation? Yeah.
Yes. So can we just say like what got us to talk about like the things that led to this?
Yeah, go ahead, because I don't recall.
Nah, it's just there was a bunch of things happening with multiple people. Most recent though, that was on the mind was R. Kelly and the results of that. And so I was talking to my younger sister, and we were talking about R. Kelly and like "Step in the Name of Love."
Yeah,
it's the song came on, and if you don't know, you about to know because that song is heat. Like it is a black barbecue anthem. It is a black wedding anthem. You can't rarely, at least before, go to a black barbecue wedding, whatever it might be, no matter the age range, whatnot, and not hear something from R. Kelly. Mainly "Step in the Name of Love," though.
Yeah, and 12 years ago, I'm gonna say this is just an added anecdote. When we first met, that song used to play. You would play that. And he's like, "Come on, let's dance," and we would I remember my whole family. We were all just dancing.
Stepping in the name of love.
Mind you, I did not grow up listening to a lot of secular music, so it was not a
Not
anthem.
secular.
Just to make it clear.
Yeah. I got you.
I wasn't allowed, y'all. I tried though, sneaking radios, but anyway.
Yeah, sneaking radios. What was this?
But like my family didn't do that. Like that was not a thing.
For sure.
And so watching you do it, I was like, oh, this is fun. I was like, oh, and they used to talk about this. I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm a little late, but we here.
So that came on.
Yeah.
And like so that's the type of thing. Like, oh, this is dope, right? And my little sister's like, yo, like, can we listen to this? And I'm sitting there like,
it's a great question.
Can we listen to this?
Everyone has an opinion. And
so, thus, the topic in the conversation. So we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about this.
That's a tough one. When you start bringing examples, that's tough. Yeah.
We're gonna name some sinners, but we ain't gonna do that. But yeah. So
all of us.
That was good. You know, saying cast the first stone. Look at me about to talk
let's
about.
Let's be clear.
Should I be canceled? That's crazy. But okay, yeah. Let's throw Harvey Weinstein and R. Kelly and Bill Cosby. They're in that like you in it. Yeah. If folks don't know who Harvey Weinstein is, this brother was ended up going to prison for multiple women coming forward being sexually assaulted. R. Kelly, if you've been under a rock, don't know. R. Kelly, same thing with the sexual assault, but it was like sexual assault / experimentation with young girls, you know,
like minors. Yeah.
Yeah, and then who am I? Bill Cosby. For me, those are like irrecoverable. I can no longer look at you the same way. However, this is where the conversation comes in. With that, do those things cancel the works that folks have brought forward? Because if we look at Bill Cosby, for just example, he was America's black dad for years. He wasn't like, when you look at the representation of black folks on TV, especially during that time, wasn't all rosy or put together or whatever, let alone a black doctor.
Right.
Somebody who was eloquent with speech and had these great moral values, and he was the black dad. Is he canceled?
Yes. And I'm going to say why. Because Clifford Huxtable,
not the whole name,
is our black father. He's a character, and he completely embodied what most, children were watching at that time. Bill Cosby is not Cliff Huxtable. Bill Cosby played Cliff Huxtable. So I think we can separate the two easily, because that was a full character. That was not who he actually was. Unfortunately, that's not who he was. We wish he were. I think most people were surprised to hear and learn about a lot of what happened. And some people stood beside him, of course, because they know him more personally. Being this far removed from him as a person makes it easier to want to cancel them. You know what I mean? It's like, I have a little less sympathy just because I don't actually know him as a person. And then he didn't seem all that remorseful or even like he gave a fly, like he's in court and he's looking at the camera type ways. He just seemed to be playing the whole thing. And it's like, you are guilty and yet you don't seem to care because of how much time had passed. I don't know. So I was very much like, cancel him. I'm fine.
And so for me, cancel him. So I hear that. And so cancel him would be, because you made the separation between the role he played and who he is. Mm-hmm. So in the cancel sense, it would be like you don't actually revisit those shows or revisit the episodes because, that contributes to him, his legacy, and potentially his profits, right? So how you feel about that? Like, is that canceled?
Here's the problem. I had liked the Cosby Show, but I wasn't like, that was not my show. I wasn't like going hard. Anytime it's on, let me go watch it. However, he had a big hand in A Different World. And A Different World is my show. Mm-hmm. Have I stopped watching A Different World? And A Different World was off the air since the 90s. I have not stopped watching A Different World. Why? Because although he helped bring it to it, he's not in it. And then the lessons that are in that show and all the people that are part of it, it's so important to me personally. So now I haven't canceled the show. I just don't bother with it. I don't know. I know this is going to be a walking contradiction, but these are my thoughts and feelings, y'all. Ain't nobody about to come for me.
Okay.
I see it in his face. He's like, you can't have one and not the other. Like, don't be saying both. I said what I said.
Well, let me ask you about that. Like, okay. Music is it's entertainment and a performance. Right? Like you perform, you create music. It's music. Like, and it's right. It's a person performing the music. The same way the writer wrote the show, the same way the actor acted in it, the person did the music, and the music is the music done by the person. So in this case, if we go to R. Kelly and go to that, if Step in the Name of the Love.
Why you keep saying it like that?
In the name of the love. Oh, not in the name of love, in the name of the love. Like, we have to call this out. If that came on, not just Step in the Name of Love, but Step in the Name of the Love came on. Are you keeping it on? You turn it off your radio? You cutting the DJ at the barbecue? Or does R. Kelly get the pass?
I'm like, who else is on this list?
But no, I'm saying, those the one. Listen.
Okay. Or
do you want me to go? You want to go first? Because you've been in the hot seat for a second.
I don't mind being in the hot seat.
Okay.
I ain't going to lie. I'm not here to lie to nobody. There are some songs that sometimes you don't even think. You don't think about who's singing it.
She keeping the song off, what she's saying.
Step in the Name of Love is not like my go-to song by any means, but there are a few, unfortunately, R. Kelly songs that do, when it comes on, I'm like, oh.
Ignition.
I'm just going to let it finish. I'm not going to necessarily.
That's crazy. Okay. I hear that.
That's hard. He has such a huge catalog. Like, I can't lie. For Bill Cosby, it's way easier because I got 2 bodies of work for me to even care about. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But R. Kelly's catalog is so unnecessarily deep. And then he's written songs for other people that he's not necessarily singing on. Yeah. Or singing on songs that aren't necessarily his song. You know what I mean? It's like and truth be told, I mean, this could go against everything I said prior, which I'm okay with because at this point, I am learning too, y'all. If that's the case, we could cancel everybody something because everybody got some shadow or bone or skeleton in the closet, right? I know this is me trying to make a pass for a future. Who knows what I'm about to
say? Keep it on.
That's all I'm saying. Like, it'd be harder for me to stop a certain song with him just because I know it's his, but I won't necessarily actively go out of my way to just like play his music.
I hear that. Okay, so for me, I'm gonna say I feel a little bit differently. I feel like, and I'm not saying I'm successful with this all the time.
You're human.
We're human. I like to commit to this, but to me, it matters about the level of the sin. So for me, Cosby, R. Kelly, Weinstein, those are things I really can't get down with.
Right.
Especially, and I'm not saying that anybody could, but it's really like when I think about R. Kelly and just the level of the things that happen, and that's after it's being confirmed, right?
Right.
I think about the conspiracy theories about did it actually happen with Cosby? Was it that many? Outside of that, the things that we know happened, R. Kelly especially, just using that example, it's hard for me because it's like, yo, that was outrageous. Like, that's something I really can't look past. And so, to me, to contribute to something I don't believe in makes it difficult for me. Now, do I feel that same way about, maybe the way capitalism was built and I still play the game? I know, right? So sometimes you are playing the game knowing what's up. And you do exist knowing that there are moments in time where you have to do what you got to do. You might want to listen to that song because that's a good song for me. It's like, dang, I want to step left, right, side to side, round and round, dip it down.
And then you want to sample it.
But hey, look. But at the same time, it's like, I try not to because I don't want to. Yeah, at some point in time, I think we got to take a stand.
And not perpetuate.
Yeah, and protest the action. Like, I can't do that.
Which I hear. It's like, sometimes you got to take it in small steps. Like, I'm not about to buy no concert tickets. You know what I mean? I'm not buying the albums. I'm not doing, I don't even have him on my playlist. Yeah. Like, he doesn't pop up like that. But randomly, sometimes it's like you're at someone else's place it's playing in the car and you catch yourself. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, moving. Yeah. It's like, I think at this point, most people just take the L and recognize that we are here together, just failing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that. Well, it's funny, like I was saying before, does it matter to you, like, the type of sin? Because I didn't have that same reaction to Kevin Hart when he got caught.
I find that very different because
exactly. That's what I mean.
Those aren't in the same realm. I also think that we as people do that. We level things when, like, some sins, if they're in the same category, but one is more severe than the next. Right. I don't know if we're really the right judges for it. Yeah. But I think because it's human nature. Yeah, I think you could put the three together because, I mean, even Chris Brown, I canceled him when he beat up Rihanna years ago. Right. I was done with him. Right. It took me until Rihanna forgave him to forgive him. Right. You feel me? I was very anti. Yeah. Nobody else. It was me, and I stood for my Bayesian queen because we are here together. Mm-hmm. But I think it's really dependent on the person.
It really is. And that's where, like, nobody can, like, it's about, it's certain universal things, I think, right? Mm-hmm. How you respond to it is on you. But I think, it's different because I got one of my homeboys who fan of Kevin Hart, what he stood for, real fan. Mm-hmm. When that came out, he was done, like, crushed. Like, that's somebody who was a role model. And, like, you say this, speak this, do this, I can't. And for me,
are we talking about him with the scandal of the cheating, or are we talking about with all the tweets and?
No, the cheating, the tweet. Okay. Yeah, I'm not even that.
Because those are just two different categories. Oh, yeah, so I had to check.
So we know talking about the tweets. So that was, I can't pay that attention. But the actual, he was cheating and that came out. He ended up letting the world know, like, that broke him because he like, yo, this is what he stand for, or whatever. But for me, again, there's some people like, nah, I can't. Right. And that's based on their own personal perceptions. But for me, it's like, we all make mistakes. Yeah. It's like everybody do a little something. And again, and that might be easy, right? In my mind, am I trying to okay that? Because I'm like, yo, am I immune to that? I know I'm to what Kels did. I know it's over. There's no way I ever would be. So it's easy for me to judge that, right? But for Kevin Hart, again, I feel the same way. But it's like, is that a little easier for me to take this L? Yeah.
I think I think for most people, because I don't think anyone's holding that for the most part. I mean, outside of your friend maybe, but anyone's really holding that over him anymore because of the way he responded when it happened. He like took full ownership and publicly acknowledged that he completely messed up. It's like, I can handle that. The people previously like, I ain't do it. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times people get accused and no one actually owns the problem, so it's harder to forgive or to forget or let go of when they're just like, I never did it. It never happened. It's like, why? Why can't we just own what we've done? Take accountability.
I think that would change a lot of things. Because even when I think about, so I don't know if you're familiar with the Joe Rogan situation.
When he was saying the N-word on his podcast repeatedly?
Saying it and then getting other people to say it and like really,
I only saw some clips, to be fair, to whatever argument I may bring. And India Ari was very angry, and I think she took her music off of Spotify because
he was on
podcast is on Spotify. Yeah. So she took a stand. I'm gonna say right now, India Ari didn't play no games. Mm-hmm.
I respected that, and so I look at that again, like the sin canceling the sinner. And when I first was watching it, and just in the third, and now it's at the day, it's like I feel the type of way. I don't know his response. At the time, the response wasn't a response. I haven't done the research to figure out what else he said or whatnot. But at the time, the response was kind of like indifferent. Even the tone and when he was asking the questions, right? I get upset thinking about it now. It's like, oh, bro, you playing with something that you don't really know what you're playing with, you know? And so that thing, again, that's visceral to me.
Yeah.
The same way somebody like Kevin Hart, maybe cheating on wife is visceral to somebody else.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and so now it's like, nah, bro, it's over, you cancel. But is that hypocritical potentially? But it is potential. I ain't gonna lie.
Hey, now we're owning our foolishness.
Nah, it's not even. But I think it's real. I think
Yeah.
not even that it's foolishness. I think it's like, yo, what matters to you, we project out, and I think we got to find a middle ground. You know,
that actually makes a lot of sense because your friend with Kevin Hart, like that's such a high value for him, clearly.
Yeah,
and the same thing, like the N-word, you ain't just gonna be out here saying that. Like,
yeah.
And if any, I mean, there was a time in our culture where Fear Factor was the show.
Yeah, I thought you about to say something else.
When I say I had loved Joe Rogan because of Fear Factor, and then once I started seeing this, I lost respect for him as well. And I mean, I can't necessarily cancel him because I wasn't watching anything he was doing anyway. I wasn't listening or supporting it anyway. But now I'm like, oh, I'm not even going to try. It's like it'll never even be an option. So in the same way, because that is something personal for us. So it can be hypocritical appearing, but I think it's really more based off of our own values or experiences.
So it almost not even does. It's like, so let's take a step back. Should it?
Should it what?
Should, if that was the question to answer, should the sin cancel the sin, right? So should you stop messing with Kale's music? Should you stop watching Husband? Should you not rock with Joe Rogan? Like, should it?
I actually like it as a should because I think it's not necessarily based off of
personal.
No, like what society should or shouldn't do as much as we should base it off of how they respond. So like this is me personally. So like Kevin Hart taking accountability. Yeah, I'm not gonna cancel you. You surely walked the right path afterwards. But for anyone to brush it under the rug, act like it's no big deal, keep doing the same thing. No, I'm not supporting this. You know what I mean?
Now we got there.
So now that you ask the should, it's very different because does, it happens, it looks different, it's variable. But should, yeah.
I think the does is good to talk about because it's like it does sometimes vary on what the sin is, right? Should, I agree with you. That's actually dope. It's really based on the person's response to what it is. And we should use those moments, I think, to actually help people grow and develop. Like I'm against cancel culture most of the time. There's some people I think need to get canceled. I think 45, let's cancel 45. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I'm like, who?
You know,
I canceled them a long time ago.
So I don't even know what number that is. I don't even use that number really for real. I skip it. When I'm going out 1 to 100, it's one missing. But yeah. Nah, legit though. But yeah, should it? I agree based on the response. Because there was one time, so a long time ago, there was a phone call recorded. And I used this story before, but it's important. Donald Sterling. He had used the N-word on the phone call. I think he might have owned the Clippers or something like that. But he was talking about Magic Johnson. And so he got fired, removed from his team. And I think that was the wrong thing to do. Why? Because there was no chance for him to actually see what he did wrong, to reconcile that. And then if he does develop a new behavior and attitude first, then behavior second, right? Because it does switch. Right. Then now I think bro could actually be an agent of change and do good because he's learned from that. If you just cancel, bro, he never changed his mindset. So he's going to take those same thoughts, that same mindset to wherever else he goes, right? And so I think, so the should is, again, based on the response.
For anybody who watches The Bachelor, Chris Harrison, he was the host. I know you don't.
I know Juan Pablo, though.
That's great.
Because he went to our school. Go ahead.
That's wonderful.
Shout out to Juan.
He was not a good bachelor.
Cancel Juan.
He was one of the least favorite.
Juan is canceled for sure, y'all.
Get out of here.
But go ahead.
Yo, Chris Harrison was the host from the absolute beginning of the show all the way up until maybe last year or whatever, right? Yeah. And there was a situation where one of the first black woman bachelorette, she does interviews on E! And she was interviewing him and asked him about one of the current contestants who she participated in like these antebellum like parties back in college, which I had never heard of. And so Chris' response was very much like, you know, in 20 whatever year that was, 2010 or whatever, you know, it was no big deal.
Yeah.
But now in this culture, in this cancel woke culture, it's a problem. That was his response, something like that, right?
I remember this.
Almost forgiving it and not making it a big deal, which I think most people would have said the girl who participated probably would have had eyes wide open, like that was not okay then. All these kind of things. Anyway, it wasn't a good look, and he was suspended from the show for a bit.
Yeah.
And he had to do some reflection and put out like a statement, and then they fired him. And there are so many people who won't watch Bachelor or Bachelorette anymore, say that he shouldn't have gotten let go. They miss him, this, that, and the third. They blame the black woman. And she was like, I didn't want him to get canceled. Like, I wasn't trying to get him fired.
Sure.
I just asked him some questions, and this was his response. He even cut her off to say what he was saying, because in his mind, he didn't think he was saying anything wrong.
Yeah.
And I have felt similarly, because there were a lot of people trying to get him canceled, and I was shocked that it was happening.
Yeah.
But truly, I would have liked to see, he has so much pull and so much influence and so much love in Black Bachelor Nation.
Yeah.
And like, there's like middle America who may not necessarily understand why that was a problem. Had they given him an opportunity to like learn from it and actually speak and share in that type of way,
could have brought them along.
you know what I mean? Because
Sure.
from everyone I've seen who I've followed on The Bachelor, he's not a bad person. Like, you're not a horrible human. You did not say the best thing in that moment.
Sure.
But in like 20 plus years, completely just didn't matter. It was over. And I was like, ooh. I would have preferred, like you said, for him to learn from it and help. Bring the people along.
Yeah. This is such a good time. I can't wait to hear what folks think. I mean, honestly, because this is, that right there is so true. And I think it's going to like dive into people's psyche in terms of the way, because what you just said, I agree with. And I can see another perspective as you were talking, like, oh, folks would say, X, Y, Z. And then, anyway, so yeah. And people, dang, you got
When
me.
I tell you, I was sitting here seething. I was waiting.
Where you
I
gonna be
see
at?
you trying.
People might be listening. And they probably are thinking like, yo, what in the world are they talking about? Should they be canceled? Listen, y'all, we might be right.
We might be wrong.
But at the end of the day,
we just young, black, and figured it out.
Tough.
CC on the track, boy.